Should we boycott the World Cup? That is our next question. I think we're going to get equally passionate calls on this one. 0207 862 2222 is the number to give us a ring with your view. Now, the tournament kicks off in June and it's being jointly hosted by America, Canada and Mexico, but it has not been without controversy.
Now, FIFA had to intervene when tickets for the final were priced at £3,000, and that was one of the cheapest tickets.
Then there was calls to boycott after Donald Trump threatened to take over Greenland.
And after that, it emerged that some fans can't attend because, well, they're on Trump's travel bans list. Countries include Haiti and Iran, who have qualified.
And now people are threatening to boycott because of the controversy surrounding ICE agents. Now, Albie, are you a fan of a boycott? Is this something that you would indulge in?
No, absolutely not. And I think people who are calling for this boycott are, for as much as we some of us don't like Trump and what he's done, are being very hypocritical. We've had World Cups in much worse places than modern America. We had a World Cup in Qatar, where they were reportedly using slave labour to build the stadiums. We had a World Cup in Russia before that. At the time, had invaded Crimea. At the time, this was just after the whole Salisbury nerve agent poisoning. We sent a World Cup team out to Russia after that happened. So the idea that we boycott a World Cup, not just in America, but also in Canada and Mexico too, which are nothing to do with any of the Trump stuff, I think is ridiculous. Football should be about football, entertainment, countries coming together, not about politics.
Paula, do you agree with that?
So I think it's naive to suggest that we can just ignore what is happening in America at the moment and ignore its impact on its people. We have seen what some expert commentators are calling state-sanctioned murder on the streets of Minneapolis. And to ignore this, I think, would be to do an injustice. I struggle to understand why you would want to visit a country that wants to silence its citizens, that feels that it's appropriate to take the life of its citizens who are protesting legitimately purely because their citizens don't agree with them. So would I boycott any games occurring in the US? Absolutely. Would I travel to Canada? Would I travel to Mexico? Of course I would. Would I expect the footballers to boycott the World Cup? No, I wouldn't. I actually have some sympathy for them. It's their job. And for those who would ridicule my position, I ask to remember what happened with Nelson Mandela, what happened with the cricketing boycotts there, and how that did support, ultimately, his freedom. This isn't and can't be forgotten. And to suggest that politics isn't a part of sport, I think is naive.
Okay. All right. Well, look, don't go anywhere because we want to hear from you after the break.
Should fans boycott the World Cup? Should teams even pull out? 0207 862 2222 is the number, and we'll see you after this. Before the break, we asked what could land you in a spot of trouble in London thanks to a surprising bylaw, and the answer is shaking out a doormat. Welcome back to Storm and Alexis. We are here live on 5. Paula and Albie still joining us. Would you like to know why you can't shake out a doormat? Is that something you indulge in?
I have shaken my doormat at some point.
Alexis, surely not.
I didn't know. Yeah, it's made of gold.
Was it before 8 a.m?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, if it's before 8 a.m, quite frankly, it is not allowed. And that's the Metropolitan Police Act of 1839, of which there are quite surprising bylaws. Do you want to know some of the others?
Yeah,
Carrying planks and ladders on the pavement unless loading or unloading a vehicle.
That makes sense, because, you know, for people getting to work, you don't want to have someone with planks and ladders.
Okay.
I get that.
Beat a carpet or a rug at any time of day.
Oh.
Yeah. And flying a kite in public where it might be a nuisance. Well, I think it was probably something back in the day.
Tell it off first. You have some stern
and if
words,
it still doesn't
and then
listen.
if it doesn't adhere to what you're saying, you give it a good thrashing.
I think back in the day, you could take the carpet out, and it was obviously a way of dusting it without
and a
hoovering.
beater. Did you not
And
have
there was
one of those like big
yes.
flat beaters?
Did you not
Yes,
have
they're quite
one?
ornate.
No, I didn't. What were the dinosaurs like?
Oh, the age difference continues to show us up. Look, later we're asking if it's okay to name your child after yourself. Have you done it, perhaps? Maybe you've got the same first name as your parent. Give us a call.
But now we are talking about the World Cup. Are you in favour of a boycott? Do give us a call with your views on this. 0207 862 2222 is the number.
Let's head to Manchester. Mark is there. Mark, good afternoon. Do you think we should boycott the World Cup?
Yes, definitely, because, as I say, I've got a sister-in-law who lives in Texas, and she's advised us if we were going to go, not to, because it's a very dangerous place at the moment, America. Because if your face doesn't fit, they're just arresting you.
So she has told you that where she's at in Texas is too dangerous for you to go?
No, anywhere in America, because, like I say, she lives in Texas. She travels about America. It's part of her job.
Mark, do you think football associations should boycott it? Do you think, like, for example, the Scottish team or the English team should make a decision not to go, to actually boycott the tournament? Or do you think the boycott's more for the fans?
Well, from what I've seen on the TV, if your face is a different colour than white, they're going to arrest you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you're of Asian background to start with, and you go to watch England or something, you're in danger of being arrested.
So you think actually not boycotting it, but on the basis of safety alone, you shouldn't go. But what about if you are white and you could probably get away with it and it would be fairly safe for you in America? You're one of the faces that may be welcome there. Should you boycott it then? In support and solidarity?
Look, one out, all out, innit?
Okay, so you think on the basis of ice, boycott it. So this has nothing to do with the ticket prices. Are you offended by that?
Oh, ticket prices are extortionate.
Well, it's just when I look at the ticket prices now, I have a son and a daughter now, and they're probably going to like football because it's a cultural thing in this country. It's no longer a family sport. It's not something I would, not think twice about getting a ticket for the family. That'd be hundreds of pounds now.
And I do really sympathise for people who have bought their tickets already and have, put deposits down in terms of hotels, etc., etc. But, we're seeing a real moment on the streets of America. And what concerns me is that we'll get into this stadium and we'll have the cheers of the crowd essentially dwelling out and overcoming what we should be listening to, which is the protests on the street. That's what's important.
Albie, how would you feel about travelling to the US at the moment? You heard Mark's sister saying, look,
don't come,
it's dangerous.
I would still go to the US. Yeah, I would still go to the US.
If I was lucky
enough to get a ticket for the World Cup, I would go to the US because the chances of a tourist getting tied up in this nasty business is probably quite unlikely, actually.
But I mean, you've seen US citizens, be arrested, be kidnapped, two of them losing their lives on the streets. I mean, it doesn't seem to apply. I don't think they're making a differentiation of are you a tourist or are you a citizen?
I think it would be very surprising if, with the media spotlight of the World Cup on America, any of the business that we have been seeing recently would actually continue. But
even with that aside, just going on Mark's point, I can't remember the exact wording of what you said there, but it's basically if one's out, all's out. If not everybody is welcome, if not everybody is safe on the street, Albie, nobody should be there. Nobody should be at the tournaments. There should just be a blanket. We all stand together.
Well, look, where were people when we went to World Cups in Russia? Yeah. Where were people when we went to World Cups
they were there.
In Qatar?
The commentators were there. And this is what's interesting about the point that you made. To hear your voice, to hear that voice of protest is what's ultimately, I say, important. It might not change anything overnight. It might not lead to the boycott that we're all shouting for. But
I think we are all shouting for a boycott.
But the fact is, what does happen is that we become more aware. And that, I think, is ultimately what is important.
All right. Mark, thank you for kicking us off. Grace is in London. Grace, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts?
Hi.
Do you think there needs to be a boycott?
I think so. I mean, obviously there are human rights abuses in other countries, and we should talk about those too, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't boycott America. I mean, my personal initial thoughts about Trump when he came on the political scene years ago was that he was trying to kind of cozy up to the Christian community. So I thought, I'll look into this since I'm interested as a Christian. And following him on social media, I was struck by how ridiculously egotistical his words are, which is completely contrary to what we believe as Christians, because Jesus died for our sins, so we should have humility. He is so egotistical. He needs his ego denting because he is very, very dangerous. Obviously, all politicians have a big ego.
Grace, do you think this would dent his ego, though? Do you think he'd care?
I think, it would take a lot of people not going for him to know that he's not actually liked and loved as much as he thinks he is. He thinks he's the saviour of humanity. He thinks people love him, and that makes him so dangerous. It's not only the people...
I don't know if he thinks he is or whether it's just bluster. If I tell you enough that I am, you may believe it and therefore I am. I don't know which way that goes, Grace. But I agree there's a lot of bluster to
Do you think if teams
words.
boycott the World Cup countries, England's got more of a chance of winning? Because then I might support a boycott.
Certainly, if Scotland boycotts it, you've got more chance, that's for sure.
Greece didn't qualify. I do take Grace's point. I wonder how much, if people are boycotting, so crowds, is going to be that much of a difference than if a team decided not to go. I think that's a much bigger statement. But I think a lot of crowds are, as we heard from Grace and Mark before, worried about their personal safety because of the behaviour of the ICE agents. Grace, thank you. Let's quickly squeeze in a few more people. Sally's in Devon. Sally, what do you make of this boycott? Is it a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it's ridiculous. The thought that any Scottish fan is going to boycott the World Cup when they've only just qualified, they don't qualify very often, is ridiculous. I think it's very unfair. If you want to have a boycott, perhaps you should say we'll boycott American goods, or maybe hurt Trump where it really hurts, in his pocket, and boycott anything that is anything to do with Trump or his family. That would make a bigger statement than boycotting the World Cup. Some footballers, it is the pinnacle of their career, and why should they give up the pinnacle of their career just for someone who has nothing to do and no interest in football at all, calling for a boycott? I think it's ridiculous, and I can't see any Scottish fans or any Scottish players joining it, quite frankly.
Well, I can give you one big Scottish fan who publicly said he's not going to go. Alistair Campbell, huge Scotland fan, massive football fan. His support for Burnley is known. He's a big football person, and he's not going to be going.
I think there will be football fans that do boycott it, Sally, even Scottish football fans. But you're right when you talk about the athletes. These are people that have worked their whole lives for this, and for it to be stymied or made less because of the actions of one individual does seem really sad. Also
right, and I think what we've all agreed here is that would any kind of boycott really embarrass Trump? I mean, to me, I don't want to get into the head of the guy because that's a dangerous thing to do, but he doesn't seem like someone who's going to be embarrassed about anything.
But it's never going to be about him, though. It's going to be about the sycophants that surround him. It's going to be about the money that is generated around him. And it's reaching those minds, actually, that I think we need to focus on, as opposed to Trump, who is just there.
Sally, thank you. Some great points there. Steve's in Wiltshire. Steve, welcome to the show. What do you reckon? Boycott or no boycott?
I think, good afternoon, everybody. I think it should be boycotted in a way. It's down to the individual people. But the one thing that I've just heard one of the ladies say, that it's not about Trump. This is all about Trump. You know, for a fact, he wants to have the American flag all over the World Cup. He wants it. That's not what it's about. It's about football.
Yeah, I mean, you make the good point there, Steve.
The world,
he got that big trophy, didn't he? The FIFA
trophy.
Peace Trophy, which we never knew existed. So he is very much going to make that tournament about himself. So maybe Steve's got the point. So Steve, if you had the opportunity to go, would you turn it down? Well, let's say we gave you tickets to the final. Would you be able to? Would you go? Would you turn it down?
Oh, I wouldn't go.
Okay, Steve. Thank you very much for your call. Are you surprised by that?
I am surprised.
That people have morals and principles.
I do.
Are you saying that Albie doesn't have any principles?
Take that
This
back.
is the person that wouldn't pay 50p in an honesty box.
I would pay for it if I was forced to.
Only if he was
I'd pay for it if I was forced to.
We'll get ice down.
If I got
Albie.
free tickets to the final of the World Cup in America, would I go? Absolutely, I would go. And do you know what? I think Steve would too.
I mean, do you know what? You don't have to put money in an honesty box to be that honest. That's incredible. Well done. Okay, thank you for all your calls on that.